Welcome back to another Hohner Carmen 2 video. Treble side's gone well, got that nice and tuned up. Now it's the time to tune up the bass side. Now the bass side's a bit of a more complicated thing, I'll explain why. So there's two reed blocks, one of them's attached to the bass side and doesn't come out, and one that does come out. So there's 12 notes on these two sides of this reed block, and the tricky thing is when you're playing the accordion to isolate each note so you can listen to the pitch. Now there's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 8 buttons here, and there's 12 notes, so the 12 notes means you can play all the chords, but you've only got 8 buttons, so when you're playing the bass notes you're only going to be playing 8 of these notes and 4 won't be played when you're playing the bass notes. So even just playing the bass notes on their own won't give you much indication of all the notes and their tuning. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm just going to tune these 12 notes, well it's 24 altogether, out of the accordion and then pop it in, and then have a listen and see how it sounds. So I'll just show you how I do that. So I'm just going to stop the video for a second and I'll show you my tuning bellows. Give me a sec. Okay, so this is my bellows which I've put under my desk, and I can operate them with my knee. So when I put my knee on here I can just operate the bellows like that. When they're not in use I just strap them up closed, and then on the desk itself I've got some 2 holes. I've got one blocked up at the moment because I'm just testing one reed, and then I can move the I'll show you in a different one. I've got it change the angle, but I can move the bellows with my knee, play the note, and then I can use my tuner as a reference. So I just turn it round so I can see, you can see it in action. Okay, so what I can do is using my knee, move that out of the way a minute. Move that right out of the way, and then so I can actually play a note just by moving my knee, playing the sound, and then I can just use my chromatic tuner, which I'll just get the app on my phone for doing this bit. There we are, that's on there. So what I'll do some tuning, and I know it's A440, so I've got the tuner set to A440, and then what I can do then is tune up both sets of these reeds out of the accordion. Now I do know that when you put them back into the accordion they will change a little bit the pitch, but I'll start off by tuning them out and then put the reed block back in and have a listen, and that will give me some a good starting point. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through these 12 notes on each side of this bass reed block and have a go at tuning them. I'll show you when I've done it. Okay, so I've tuned up this out of the reed block, out of the accordion, what am I talking about, and then what I'll do, I'll put this back in a bit and have a listen. Before we do that, I want to just tackle the reed block which is already in the accordion, the one that's kind of stuck in, glued in. So what I'll do, I'll show you how I'm going to tackle this one, because it's a bit different. This is a kind of it's a bit of thinking. So I've already taken the pins out, so I can just dismantle this little bit. Just put that bit down there for a sec. So here we have the reed block that's stuck in. Now I want to check the tuning of these 8 notes here and the 8 notes here, and these correspond to the 8 bass notes on here. So this is quite nice because I can play a bass note and actually hear the one reed sounding. But what I need to do is block off these holes where the other bass reed block was, because when I play a bass note it will also play the same note from that reed block as well. So I don't want any air just escaping, so I'm going to tape off those holes so that's just isolated. So I'll do that first. I'll show you that when I've done that bit. Just get some electrical tape. Okay, so I've just taped off the holes where the other reed block would have been sitting on top of, and now I've got another little thing to think about, because what I want to do is when I'm playing the 8 bass notes, I don't want both of these reeds playing at the same time because they're just different octaves, and I want to be able to isolate one from the other. So what I'm going to do is get some masking tape, and the reason I'm going to use masking tape is because it's very kind of a gentle kind of tape rather than an aggressive one. I've got some just here, and it doesn't stick that much, so when I take it off, hopefully it won't cause any problems. And I'm just going to put some tape across one set of reeds so that when the note is sounded, the bass note, one set of reeds will just be blocked off. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to tape off these ones. It might mean when I take it off again that I might have to replace a valve or two because it might do some little bit of damage to them, but just for now I'm just going to stick that down like so. And so what I'm doing here is just really preventing either of those reeds, the push and the pull, from moving, and hopefully when I take the tape off it will be all fine underneath. That's the plan. So that's now isolated. So now when I put the accordion back together and play the bass notes, the only ones I should hear will be those 8, and I can then tune those in the normal way. So let's put the bass side back together onto the accordion, and I'll show you when I've got it all put back together. Okay, so that's worked. I just play the bass notes. I can just hear one note now. Oh, there's one that's catching it. Alright, as some of them I need to go back and just finish off that tape, but you can hear most of them. I can actually isolate just one reed now. Now, there's a few down this end. I need to kind of just tighten up that tape. But now I can play these notes. Hold on. I can tune these in the accordion just by now getting my tuner up. The ones I can hear 2 notes playing, I just have to go back in and just put more tape on those ones just to make sure that I'm just getting one note. But I'll tune it in the same way now. What I'll do is make some notes on how far sharp or flat each note is on the push and the pull, and I'll have to do the tuning with the reed block in. So what I'll do, when I've made my notes about the tunings, I'll show you how I would then tune those reeds which are in the reed block, which is stuck into the bass side. Okay, so I've got my tuning notes just here, and I've just put the notes on written in pencil just here because they're not all in order, so that I just know which is which. So for my C on the pull, I need to sharpen it by 1, so I know that that's my C just there. So I'm going to have to pull the valve back, and I'm just going to have to do the scratching with it in situ, so just with my little scratcher, and I'm just going to carefully just do a little bit. And then I'll test it, put it back together and test it in a second. On the D, on the push, which on the outside one is a little bit on the sharp side, so I can just support that reed this time and just do a little bit of filing just somewhere about halfway between the rivet and the middle. Like so. And the A on the push, which is the A, that one, that needs to be flattened by 1 as well, so just going to support that reed and just do a little bit of flattening. So it's just kind of similar, it's just a slightly different technique, and you've just got to be more careful. And I do what I think I need to do, put it back together, have another listen, as I would do anyway. So I'm just going to go through and tune up these bass reeds, and then what I'll do, I'm going to swap over the tape, take these ones off, and have a listen to the lower or the lowest bass reed. So let me just do this one, and I'll... Okay, so I'm just going to tape off the set of reeds I've just been tuning. Just the tips of them really, so nothing, they can't operate. And then what I'll do, I'll put it back together and have a listen to the lower set of reeds and make some tuning notes for those, and hopefully be able to get these bass reeds singing nicely. So let me just put it all back together and then have a listen to the final set of bass reeds. Just going to push this tape onto there. Alright then. Okay, so now I've got the lowest reeds isolated. So what I'm going to do now is play these with my tuner, make some notes, and do my final tuning of the lowest bass reeds in exactly the same way that I've just done. So let me just make my tuning notes and I'll show you when I've done that. Okay, so these big old reeds, the ones with the big bits of metal on them, they've got quite a lot of heft, quite a lot of metal there, and they tend to be quite stable with their tuning because it takes quite a lot to change the tuning. So the tuning will change when the amount of metal on the reed at the tip or somewhere along the way changes, and it changes the frequency response of that reed. But because these have got such a lot of weight on them, it takes quite a lot to change the pitch. So these biggest bass reeds tend to be quite stable. So I've only got one that needs a little bit of work, and that's the F on the push is a bit flat. So that's my F. So the push is a bit flat, so I'm just going to support it and then just give it a little bit of a sharpen. Make sure I get the right one. That one. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a sharpen up. And what I'm going to do now is put everything back together. So I'm going to carefully take off this tape, hopefully not cause too much problems on this side. That's why I use masking tape, because it's fairly innocuous and not really too sticky. Let's have a look. Well, that one. Actually, that's it. I just got to do a little bit of that tape. Just a little bit of checking of those reeds. Give me a second, and then I'll. There we go. So I'm going to put this reed block back in. Ooh, no. Yeah. So let's get this one in as well, and then I'll put the accordion back together. And see how these bass notes are now behaving themselves. So hopefully they'll be sounding quite nice, but I wouldn't be surprised if there could be some further little tweaking needed, because I've only just done it the one go so far. So let me put everything back together. I'll show you. Okay, so the bass reeds are now in, and this is what they sound like. And actually, I'm really happy. I love the sound of this. I think it's got a really bright sound. It's got the typical Hohner sound, but I'm really happy with the tuning of those bass notes. So I'm doing a little French song under Paris skies, I think it's called. Let's see what it sounds like on this Hohner Carmen 2. Hang on a minute. had my bass notes in the wrong order, or my fingers on the wrong place. Let's try that again. And there we go. Now when I was playing that, I noticed that the B flat lowest bit might need a bit more tuning. So there's a couple of notes on the treble side, but I'm just going to finesse. But I'm really happy with the sound. Let's try. There we go. So this little accordion is singing again. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more tuning on the tremolo, on the treble side, just a little bit. I can just hear a few notes that just I need to just check a little bit. But that's one of the things you can do with an accordion. You just have to listen sometimes and just pick out things that you might want to just improve. Use the high quality audio interface, which is known as your ear. So that's nice. I'm happy with the progress. And the next steps, I will do a bit more tuning as I said, but the next steps is to do a bit more body work now. So I'm going to put a new grill cloth and just fix a bit of the celluloid that's come off on here, put a new patch on there, and put a new bass panel cloth on, and just tidy up some of these kind of like decorative bits. There's a bit of trim missing, so I'll do some tidying up there. I'm going to have to move the bellows straps down because they don't quite fit now, because I've put some extra bellows tape on, so I'm going to move that down about 1 centimetre so it now fits. And the other thing I'm going to do, make a nice little touch here, is, well, I'm going to put a bit of felt, if I can, on the bottom edge of the grill, and also underneath the keys here. I'll see if I can get some felt. Ooh, see, get some felt underneath there as well, just to the nice, looks nice, and also just gives you a bit of softness on the touch. And then this will be. Oh, and I've got to make some accordion straps, some back shoulder straps. I'll make some of them as well. So a few more bits and bobs, but the actual mechanics is good. The sound is good. It's just cosmetics really, and making some straps and just a few little finishing touches, and then this little lovely Hohner Carmen 2 is ready to be enjoyed. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll put the next video up as soon as I can.